Hello, this is Guillermo Puyol with mobileprogrammingtips.com, and today we're going to go ahead and continue our platformer game. So in the previous episode we set up the platformer game, we set up the control pad and the jump button, and we made our rectangular hero respond to those controls. So everything is working now. So today I'm going to talk about camera effects to make the camera follow the hero, and basically we're going to make it so that we can continue moving forward in our level without falling off the screen and dying. So the first thing I wanted to address is the way we set up this control pad in the last episode. If you recall, under the do controls touch function, we said if touch X is less than 70. Now 70 is hard coded because that is just based off of the position of our control pad. So if we move the control pad, this will no longer work. So there is a way around that, and what we're going to do is just get, instead of 70, we're going to base it off of the current position and the width. So let's do that exactly. Let's say local middle of control pad equals controls dot, that is, just want to make sure we have that. Okay, so we need to be able to access this as well. So instead of making it local there, we're going to do a forward declaration. Okay. And then we're going to say local middle of control pad is equal to controls.x plus controls.width over 2. So that's going to determine exactly the halfway point, and it's going to add that to the X displacement, and then this will be plugged in instead of the 70. So we can go ahead and play. Okay, there's something wrong there. Let's print and see what we're passing here. All right. Controls.x. I just want to make sure that we're grabbing the right values here. So let's see. Okay, so it says the middle is 116, controls.x is 68, and the width is 96. So the width is correct. X is 68. So we can actually just use that. because the reference point is in the center of the object, you can actually have the reference point be on the left, on the right, or on the center. So since it's in the center, that would determine the middle of the control pad. So we actually don't need that fancy operation there. Okay. Okay. And it works correctly. So that way we can always move the control pad and it will continue to work. Now, before I get started with the camera, I just want to let you know I'm going to do a very basic camera system just so you understand how it works, and then we're going to completely scrap that code and we're going to be using a pre-built camera system that Caleb P has posted in the Corona community. They do have a section for code sharing, so that library is very good, and it's going to be more useful to you if you end up making a game. So I do want to show you how it's done, the very basics, so you understand how the library is working in the background. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our basic camera, and just keep in mind that we may end up erasing some of this code later on. So we're going to define local camera, and down here in the create scene we're going to go ahead and say camera equal display dot new group. Okay, so we're basically making a new display group that's going to hold everything that will eventually be inside that camera view. So our goal is to separate the interface, like the controllers, and eventually we may have a score or some other things that are going to be part of the user interface. We don't want those to be moving around following the player. So we're going to distinguish those, and we're going to add into this display group the things that we want to move. So let's go ahead and say camera colon insert, and we're going to insert a background. We're going to insert the grass, the hero. So grass goes here, hero goes here. And then what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and take the camera, and that group is going to go into the main group. So all these three things are going to be part of the camera, and the camera is going to be part of the group. So remember that when we're adding things into groups, we want to add them back to front. So background go first, then the grass, then the hero. Then all of this group is going to go in the background, and the controls are going to go in front of them. Okay, so that way we can actually manipulate things better. But if you notice, if I hit play, nothing will have changed. Everything will work just the same it did a few minutes ago. The advantage is that now we can move the camera objects around without affecting the interface objects. So let's let the program load, and let's check it out. So as you can see, everything is exactly the same, only now Corona knows what objects are going to be part of the camera. So what we're going to do next is, in our inner scene, right before we start physics, we're going to go ahead and call the function to move the camera. So we're going to say runtime. We're adding an event listener, and the type of event we're listening for is enter frame. Enter frame means that the function for example in this case move camera, is going to be called every time a new frame is drawn, so roughly 30 to 100 times per second depending on their performance. So this function is not one that exists yet, so we need to create it. So let's go ahead and create it up here. At the beginning of our implementation, we're going to say local function move camera, and what we're going to do is say camera dot x is equal to negative hero dot x. Okay, so basically what we're saying is that the camera moves left if the hero moves right. Now this is not exactly right because we haven't accounted for an offset. So when we do this, what's going to happen is that the hero is going to be right at the edge of the screen and is never going to move, just the background will move. So let's go ahead and try that so you can see what I'm referring to. So if we hit play, the camera moves and now the hero is stuck there on the edge of the screen, and when we move back, the background moves, the hero stays still. So although it's doing is exactly what we told it to do, that's not exactly the effect that we're looking for. So we need to offset the hero a little bit. So let's go ahead and say local let's say left offset is equal to 60. So now we're going to add that left offset to the position so that the hero has a little buffer there on the left hand side. Okay, so now you notice the hero is not stuck to the edge. There's 60 pixels from the edge of the screen to the hero, and it still works very much in the same way, but now we have at least the hero is not stuck to the edge. So now we really don't want the camera to move unless it needs to, because right now it's moving with every frame. So it shouldn't need to move unless the hero is pushing off of the screen. So what we can do is say if the hero's X is greater than the offset, then move the camera. If not, then position the camera to 0. So that way when we move left, it's not going to show us this black line. It means that we're getting to the edge of the level, so it's going to stop moving the camera and the hero might eventually fall off the level, but at least we don't see this black line here. So let's go ahead and try that. And remember, we're just making the very basics of a camera system. So let's say if the hero X, and actually it's always a good idea to localize variables. So let's make a local hero X. So now this hero X is exactly the same, it's just local, easier and faster to access for Corona. So we're replacing that, it's exactly the same thing, just faster. So if hero X is greater than the left offset, then move the camera. If it's not greater, then the camera should be 0. The camera X should be 0. Okay, so notice that now our hero can fall off the edge here, and it's not showing us the gray line. So I'm going to let it fall off. and it still didn't show us a gray line here, which is perfect. That's what we needed to happen. But now if we were to press right, it would still pan right immediately without letting the hero push off the screen. So if I press right, then it instantly starts moving. So let's go ahead and correct that. And what we can say is, within the move camera function, we should say if the hero X is greater than the screen screen left, but we haven't declared screen left. Let's say local screen left is going to be equal to the negative of camera.x, because, and give me just one moment, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a program so I can better illustrate this. So let's go ahead and say that we have this background here. Okay, this is our game, the level. Now we have also created our screen. Okay, so if these were matching up like at the very beginning, then the camera group, the X of camera group is 0. But if we want to make our camera move forward, then the X of this camera group has to be negative. Okay, so in reference to this origin point at the top left corner of our screen, this group has to move on the next. So the left of the screen is basically the negative camera.x. Okay, so let's go ahead and come back here. So now that we have defined screen left, we're going to say that the camera, I'm sorry, if the hero X is greater than the left side of the screen, plus however much we want the hero to move inside the screen, because right now we're not letting the hero move around the screen. So let's say local save move area is equal to, and let's say the hero can move 380 pixels within that screen. So the hero could be let's say right here, or the hero could be right here without the camera having to move. Now if the hero gets closer to this section here, as it gets closer to the right edge of the screen, it should push the screen forward. So that's what I mean by the save area. Basically we're defining, if the screen is 480, we're saying that around 50 on the left edge and 50 pixels on the right edge is where the screen should start moving. Okay, so that save area here is going to be added, and the hero's X would have to be greater than the left plus the save area for it to move. Okay, so if that is the case, then go ahead and move the camera. So that's not complete, but it should be a little bit better. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not going to work. The left offset is not going to be enough here. Or I'm going to go ahead and play it just to show my mistake here. The left offset is just going to move the camera by 60 pixels, when in fact it needs to be moved by 380. So when we start moving right, everything seems okay. Remember that on the left it works fine. It's gonna let us fall off the screen. But on the right, when we get to 380, you're going to see the camera jump. that jump right there was because of my mistake, because I only added 60 to the position of the camera when I should have added 380. So instead of left offset, this would be safe move area. So let's try it now. So it works on the left. And as we hit that level, it should start, it moves to the right just like we expected. And then as we move left, it continues to move left. Now we're gonna have a problem here, because now this is not going to be less than well, it will be still over the left offset. So the position of the hero is still over 60, so it's not going to move us left. As you notice right here, we're still moving out of the screen. So we need to check for that here. So if the hero is over the left offset, we should be moving the camera to the left. So else if the hero's X is less than the screen left, so if the hero has moved, well, actually screen left plus the left offset. So right now the screen is here, the left offset would put it, let's mark the left offset by this red line. Okay, so if the hero's position is between these two lines, if it's less than the screen plus the offset, then it should start moving left as well. So that's what we check for here. Then we're going to say camera.x is equal to negative hero.x, well, actually negative hero x plus the left offset. Okay, so we continue to move back. And this should be enough of an illustration for how a basic camera system should work. So now we're tracking the position of the player. It lets us move forward. Without hitting the edge of the screen. And it let us move back. Only moving the camera when it's needed, and hopefully if we did everything correctly, we did. So it starts tracking back when we need to do that. So that is the very basic camera system. And if you want to create your own camera system, you will eventually have to set up some word limits, some Y tracking as well. So if the hero is going up some ramps, it's going to track that as well. But this is the same. You would use the same type of logic here. You would check for the screen position, your display group position, and track the camera only when the object you're tracking is getting to the boundaries of the area tracked. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this tutorial up with this basic camera motion, and in the next tutorial I'm going to use Caleb's camera tracking to set up his library into our game. Okay, so I hope that you have learned a lot, and I do thank you very much for watching.